So I have to be extremely real with you. I was feeling totally insecure yesterday. I actually couldn't sleep. People say, what's keeping you up at night? And I sometimes feel like that's figurative, like things that bother me. But this was very literal, and I guess it is derived from something very literal, like keeping you up at night, right? So last night was one of those nights where it was totally keeping me up at night. And what was keeping me up at night was the fact that I have been a horrible investor, which is really vulnerable for me to say because I was a financial advisor for a decade, and now I help female financial advisors grow their businesses. So for me to self-acknowledge as to be a horrible investor, and I've been saying like really negative things in my head about that. Like I say things like I'm really good at making money, but I'm not good at growing money. And I talk to my clients all about this, how, so many people, they're very successful in what they do, but they're not necessarily successful in growing money because it's a totally different skill. And that's really like me saying that is derived from my insecurities around growing money, which is crazy because I was in the industry and I feel like it's so weird that like everything I learned. So I started in the financial industry in 2007. Well, really the end of 2006, but basically 2007. And then the market's going up. And what you learn in the traditional financial industry is just, dollar cost average, basically buy and hold. And I did that. And not only did I do that, but I did that for my clients. And I would tell them, invest in this fund. And like, I'm a CFP, for goodness sakes. And still, I never really learned how to grow money. So I would have my clients buy and hold. And then in 2008, obviously the market crashed. And I was like, oh my God, like buy and hold doesn't work. Like I watched my clients lose money, like, month after month, day after day, whatever, like drastically lose money, like 50%, which obviously if you've been in the industry, you can relate to that. But seeing that, I was like, there's gotta be a better way. Like this isn't good. And I wasn't concerned about myself. I was young. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't have very much money. But my clients, for them to lose money, I was like, there's got to be a better way. So then I started to educate. I'm going to quote it here. Educate myself and look at like other options than just the traditional buy and hold, that sort of strategy. And I remember I went to see this guy speak. He was very unconventional. Actually, he talked about how advisors were just, this is going to sound really mean, okay, but imagine, there you are, like I was an advisor, I'm watching this guy speak, and he talked about how financial advisors are just out to, sell you stuff. They're just going to put you in products and they have no idea how to invest your money. And I was like I obviously had the intention of helping people, but I didn't really know how to grow people's money. And so I started following this guy, and he was talking, this is 2009, okay? And he's talking about how like we're in a physical asset cycle and to buy gold and silver. And he shows charts after chart after chart. And I'm like drinking the Kool-Aid going, oh, there's a better way. I don't have to just do it the traditional way and like just go into mutual funds or just go into the market and just, diversify among funds that all have the same type of funds in them or same type of stocks in them. And so I started following this guy, and I started doing this for my clients, like buying gold and silver. Now, I don't know how much you know about the market, but like basically I ended up buying gold and silver for my clients, not like their whole portfolio, but a good portion, way more than you would imagine. And then like I remember silver, like it seemed like right after I bought it, it like within a few months went down 66%, like ridiculous. Okay. So I have all these references to how as a financial advisor, I was really good at helping people get clear on their, financial situation. I was really good at driving people to action. I was really good at helping people get out of their own way and shifting their beliefs and behaviors and helping them learn new skills. That's why I did money coaching and I loved money coaching. I was great at helping people with new money habits to save more. But when it came to investing, I really felt like everything I touched turned to dust instead of gold. Like it wasn't just me investing it. It was like everyone I followed, and I tried to educate myself. So here we are, 2020, and I still have these beliefs that I'm bad at investing. And I mean, I can go through all the references, but that was one example where I followed someone, and then market just, the gold and silver market did not go as I had hoped. Like my clients were going to just kill it, right? And then there's other examples where while the market was basically going up for a decade, after the market crashed in 2008, I had my clients in more tactical strategies, thinking like it's not all about buy and hold. And then the market's going up and they're trailing the market because, of course, my manager is doing tactical strategies who are kind of timing the market, not exactly, but kind of, aren't keeping up to par. So this is so embarrassing, and I don't want to admit this, but because I don't want to tell you this, I'm going to tell you this at the risk of possibly completely destroying all my credibility with you as someone who helps financial advisors grow their businesses. But let me tell you this. I never told you I'm good at investing, okay? I told you I'm good at helping you grow your business. So here comes March, right? 2020. And I remember being at the gym with my personal trainer after like the first, correction. And she's like, should I pull my money out of the market? And I'm like, very, of course, like I know the answer to that. I was a financial advisor for a decade. I'm like, I wouldn't try to time the market. No, like who knows like what's going to happen. And just like I said, it depends on your strategy. Like I had a really smart answer, like, which was basically like, if that's part of your plan, sure. Like if you're anticipating it, but if you're doing it out of fear, you're doing it to try to time the market, don't do it. This was like early on, either late February or early March. And then no joke, like end of March, probably the worst possible time. I was scared. I got scared and it's not like I have a ton of money in the market. I actually have a lot of money in cash, but we have some money in the market. And my husband and I had a conversation and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want this to be another 2008. And it seems like it can be worse. And I'm not looking at charts. I'm not doing anything. And I'm just like going on gut and going on fear. And I was like, we had the conversation and he's like, I don't want to gamble. Like, I think we should get out. So we took 100% of our money and we put it in cash, like at the end of March, at probably the exact worst time. Like I bet you I'm so good at messing this up that I probably had like the worst possible time. But I'll tell you, my initial inclination was I called my advisor he basically bought my business, my financial business when I sold it. And like, I trust him. He uses charts and all these things. I went to him and I was like, before, maybe 2 weeks, a week before. And I was like, I have another, $100,000 or so, like in cash, like I could just like put in the market. Like, I don't, I have it sitting in cash. I have money on the sidelines. Like, should I put another $100,000 in the market? And he was like, yeah, probably yes, and he was telling, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, I think we decided we're going to pull our money out. And I actually wish like, and you guys should take this to heart, because if you're assuming you're a financial advisor, I wish he didn't let me make the mistake that I made. And I'm not blaming him. It's on me. It's not on him. But like, I basically said, well, I think we're going to pull him. He's like, you do what you want. I said, do you think like you're looking at the charts? Like, do you think like we could have another 2008? It's going to go down even more. And he was like, I think it's already built into the market. And I'm like, what? Like, really? Because we already lost 25, 30%, whatever. And so he said that's all he said though. But he said, if you want to take it out, like, of course I'm not going to convince you not to. I wish he convinced me not to. I wish he said, don't do that. That's dumb. I'm looking at the charts. I wish he told me I was being dumb. Like, I'm looking at the charts, Robin. I'm looking at this every day. You're good at making your money. I'm good at growing the money. Let me do my thing. Don't get in scarcity. Like, I don't think it's going to go down another 50%. Or you said you had $100,000 extra in cash. Start dollar cost average. Like, I wish he gave me good advice. And I'm not blaming him, but like, he was trusting me, and he probably should, because theoretically I should know better. But it's such an emotional freaking roller coaster, right? When you're making the decisions about your money, like I seriously I'm going to say it now in the past, like I've completely missed the mark. Like I can tell you 5 other times I've screwed it up, okay, for myself or for my clients or whatever. And now, like one of the reasons I left the financial industry, a lot of you ask, well, why did you leave the financial industry? One of the reasons is because it stressed me out, because I seem to always make the wrong decision, get the wrong money manager, do the wrong thing, like at the exact wrong time, even though I was trying to always do the best and be ahead of it, okay? So this is like what's been going on for years, and I have totally been on the sideline. I mean, I've had some money invested, but then I've made some bad decisions, okay? And recently, business is going really well. I have a lot of money in cash. I could totally put money in the market or otherwise. And my husband and I were like, well, we don't want to just go to the traditional route. Like, we want to make sure, like, because I hate to say it, because again, I'm being really vulnerable with you, telling you I actually work with women like you in the financial industry. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like, I'm super cynical about the industry because I was in it. And I know that I was a great financial advisor, great at understanding what they wanted, great at what they, helping them get what they want, great at the planning side, great at money coaching side, but I never learned how to invest. I'm a freaking CFP. They never taught me how to invest. So I'm like super skeptical that like, I'm thinking probably other advisors don't know how either. And that sounds horrible to say about you because I don't know you, but I know some of you. But that's my skepticism. And so my husband has the same skepticism, and he's like, and we've done out of the box trainings and all these things. So I'm just saying, I made a lot of mistakes, okay? And needless to say, I made another, I mean, look, I basically got out of the market in March. The only thing I did to get back in was I bought Zoom, which was basically gambling to try to like get a home run. All right. And I did. Like, I didn't put a lot of money in, but I basically almost tripled my money. And then I talked to some guy who's like my neighbor down the street, who's like super awesome. This guy's telling me he knows, the people who are on CNBC, on, CNN, like the big guys that are like talking about trading and stuff, not like Kramer and stuff. I'm talking about, the guys, whatever. He's like talking to them every day. He's looking at charts every day. And I saw him for like, I don't know, a month or so ago. I think it must have been a month or so. Yeah, 2 months ago, something like that. We had dinner with a couple families, and he was telling me about this, and I'm like, I'm all getting excited. Like, I'm totally like, oh, now I'm going to get the secret key. Now I'm going to know how to invest big, and now I'm going to be able to take my money. I made all these mistakes, and I think I need to make up for lost times because I've screwed it up for so freaking long. I'm looking for like a way to make up for it, and then I take undue risk, and I'm like, oh, tell me what do I, he's like, I'll just tell you what to invest in. I'm like, sweet. I got his phone number. I'm texting him. I'm like, what do I invest? And he tells me that he thinks the market is going to like have a big correction mid-October. Without the time of this video, it's basically just almost mid-October, and then it's gonna rally until April, and then he said get out. Okay, so here I am again listening to one person, making decisions based on one person, even though he's probably really well versed. He's not telling me everything. He's like, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you what to invest. Like, he's not telling me. Even if he's right, he's not telling me. Like, so one day in September, no, it was like a month ago. I'm like, I got my Zoom stock. Should I sell it? And he's like, you can. But what I read was, yes, sell it, because he said the market's going to crash. And I'm like, okay, then I'll buy it again. And I'll buy it, and I'll buy it bigger. And then I'll make it like, it's like, I'm freaking crazy. I'm crazy. Okay. And so I sold it when it was like, I already made 3 times, which is maybe a good time to sell. But now I'm in scarcity around like, damn, it's now gone up another 100 freaking points. And I'm wishing, why'd I do that? And I'm beating myself up about these stupid mistakes. I'm beating myself because I missed the boat again. I tried to time the market again. And I'm like really embarrassed about it. And like, it's really crazy. I'm telling you this, probably very few people will see it. But I'm like, I'm kind of disgusted with myself. And so yesterday, like I'm trying to check the stock, like one stock, like that little bit of money is going to make a difference in my life. Like it's not, but it's just the fact that I keep thinking like I'm making the wrong decisions, and it's driving me nuts. So last night, as I mentioned, I could not sleep. I put the baby to bed, woke up again in the middle of the night to feed her, and then I could not go back to sleep. And all I'm like thinking in my head, and I'm going like, thinking about all the bad decisions I've made around investing. And I was like, okay, chill out, because I'm all about manifesting, and I'm all about law of attraction. And this whole bullshit that I've been saying in my head that I'm bad at investing and that I can't learn this, and I just try to rely on everybody else to make the decisions, that is not how I run my life, and I'm going to stop right now. And so I was just like, I started to finally forgive myself. Like I was like completely insecure about my ability to invest, my ability to make the right decision financially. And I'm like, well, I can just make a lot of money, which I can, but then I'm like, but I can't grow it. And I was listening to Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game, and it's all about, like he mentions, about compounding interest being like the strongest force in nature. And I'm like, I'm totally not taking advantage of that. I have my money in a stupid savings account, and I work with financial advisors every single day. And I don't ask them for advice because, God forbid, I don't want to be the coach that asks my clients for advice, because I'm scared about that. I feel like they might not, think I'm credible anymore. And so I just try to figure it out on my own, and I keep making mistakes. And I'm like, no more. I'm just sick of like giving into this BS. And so I've been reading a bunch of different books. I actually learned from Ron Carson, really cool guy. You may know in the industry, he's very successful, but he told me on a podcast where I interviewed him that there's this app called Blinkist, IST, and you can read books in like 15 minutes and listen to them even better for me. And so I'm like, just like totally just get like reading books like Millionaire, what did I just read? Millionaire Fastlane, because Jessica Weaver told me about that. And it's just like a short version, but it's given me this. And I read Money Master the Game again. I read As a Man Thinketh, because that's another thing that Tony Robbins talks about, which is really more about the way you think and creating and manifesting. So like in one day I was reading like 4 books, even though they're like 15-minute like summaries. But I'm like, I need to shift my mindset. Like I need to completely stop owning this, that I'm bad at investing. Stop owning, like think that this is part of my identity. Like I'm never going to learn, and I don't have the time, and I don't want to do this. And instead I just kept thinking slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. And all of it was just like I'm thinking the reason that it's freaking me out so much is that I'm in scarcity. And I keep saying, like, I need to be in abundance. Like, I mean, we're doing awesome. Our life is awesome. We have so many things to be grateful for. And then when it comes to investing, I so badly want to, make it that I somehow think that I gotta like do it right. I keep doing quotes here, but do it correctly every time, when if I didn't pull my money out of the market, and if I went with my inkling with just at an extra $100,000 that I was doing nothing with, that I could just if I just dollar cost average $10,000 every month, I would have been way better off. And instead I'm trying to make it big home runs with Zoom and whatever else, and what's the neighbor gonna tell me? And I wanted to make this be real with you, because I'm embarrassed. I was feeling so insecure about this and so did not want to tell you. And then when I get what I've learned, especially from Mel Robbins, because she's so great about this, is that when I'm feeling insecure about something, instead I want to share it with you instead of hiding it from you. So I'm doing that. And I put on this shirt for a reason, because this morning I started talking to Trevor about it, because I wrote my 5-second journal, Mel Robbins journal, and I was writing all these things about this and how I want to be proactive, but I don't have to do it perfectly. I don't have to be the best investor on the planet. I just gotta actually play the game. I can't win if I don't play the game. And I kept saying slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. And it I was so focused on making the mistake of the Zoom, getting out of Zoom and being all in scarcity around that I'm you know what, this is the best lesson I could possibly get, to when I don't have, I have a lot, it could be worse than having a lot of money in cash. I could have it, all in the world, and really, really skeptical investments, which I've done in the past. I've done things like that. I won't tell you all the things I've done, mistakes I made. I think I told you enough, but I've done that. Let's just say Bitcoin was another one that I got excited about. So I've done stuff like that. And I'm you know what? It's because I'm trying to win. I'm trying to to kill it, as opposed to just slow and steady wins the race, baby. Just play the game. Just play the game. So I got excited about it, and I'm going to publicly declare here that I'm going to put my money back in slowly. Please, since you're my type of clients, don't try to get me as your client, because I have way too many clients right now that could be my as my advisor. But if you want to give me put a tip here and a comment here of your advice, I'd be happy to read that. I'm curious about that. And I've read books. I'll tell you one more thing about, there's a guy named Garrett Gunderson. He has a book called Killing Sacred Cows. And he has another book about the Rockefeller or something. And what he tells you to do is just basically keep putting money back in your business, what you know. And I'm really good at that. And we just did that. We invested $40,000 in ads, and we made 135. That was a good investment. That's the best investment I can make, is back in my business. And that's where I'm really going to put my money. But then at the same time, I got to be doing the compounding. So he talks about just putting it in life insurance, and just because you can get whole life policy, 4%. And whether you agree with that or not, let's not start a debate here. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, I'm just saying, I know there are ways that I can do this without trying to do it perfectly. And I think that's what it comes down to, is I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to do it perfectly. And so many of you are trying to do your business right, do it perfectly. And I keep telling you as your coach, and during my challenges and stuff, I'm like, don't let perfect get in the way of possible. And then I'm letting perfect get in the way of possible. And I'm I'm making the wrong decisions, trying to catch up, versus just slow and steady wins the race. Just doing one step at a time, but doing consistent action. Keith Cunningham says, ordinary things consistently done produce extraordinary results. He's the rich dad, poor dad. Ordinary things consistently done produce extraordinary results. I'm doing that in my business. I'm really good in my business. It's time for me to translate that to building wealth. So, thank you for appreciating my my realness with you. I was really scared to tell you guys that, and that was a lot of detail. But I think it's important to be real with you, and I want to be very, very open with you. And I'm working on something that I need to work on and get better at. And I really want to be in abundance. And so I said, from insecurity to, what did I say? Excitement I'm excited now because I told Trevor, like, okay, I'm just going to start dollar cost averaging. I'm like really good at saving. I'm just going to put it in a better place, not the right place, not the perfect place, but a better place, and start growing my money and just save and keep compounding, because compounding is important, and it's really, it's very, very powerful. And I'm just going to do something, and I'm going to do it imperfectly, but I'm going to do it, and that's going to be way better than me doing it perfectly. And so here I go. I'm excited now, even outside of this feeling of insecurity. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that helps you have an awesome day today, and I will see you next time. Bye.